Hi, my name is Regina LaTourette, and I am one of the oncology dietitians here at the Stratton VA Medical Center. And I'm very happy to be with you today for this survivorship program. So what I want to talk to you today about is how do we prevent cancer? What parts of our lifestyle can we change or improve on that will make having the diagnosis of cancer less likely? So the first thing that we talk about, very, very obvious, is tobacco. Tobacco is something we should quit. There is nothing really else you can say about it other than everybody just needs to quit smoking. Now, I want to throw also in there the vaping, because vaping traditionally was seen as maybe a healthier alternative to cigarette smoking, or the use of other tobacco products. But there is a lot of research that is just really beginning to come along, and they found that e-cigs can actually raise the chances of in animal models, so it's not in human models yet, but in animal models, cancers of the lung, bladder, and the hearts of mice. So it's really too early to tell if there is a definite cause and effect, but the research is starting to head that way. As far as alcohol is concerned, also there are alcohol-related cancers, and so what we want to do is we want to limit ourselves to the guideline of 1 drink per day for women and limit 2 drinks per day for men. Now, if you can even go below that and drink occasionally, but staying within only 1 drink for a woman and 2 drinks for a man, that would definitely be an improvement to somebody who might be drinking, 4 or 5. I've had people tell me that they drink 5 or 6. I've had people tell me they drink 10 beers a day. So we want to limit that to 2 drinks per man and 1 drink for a woman. Now, the next thing is looking at how our BMI, which is a relationship between our height and our weight, our BMI, our obesity, and diabetes can all contribute to cancer. So our healthy or normal BMI would be between 18.5 and 24.9. And so when you go to your provider the next time, you can say, what is my BMI? So if your BMI is around 24.9, or if you are older than 65, we even like to see a BMI of around 27, because it gives you a little leeway in case you get sick, you have a little bit of extra muscle mass, a little bit of extra fat stores to get you through a maybe an illness or a hospitalization even. So as far as physical activity goes, what we know about physical activity is that it improves blood glucose control and decreases insulin resistance. So when insulin circulates, because there is insulin resistance, which is diabetes, we find that that circulating insulin can help promote cells that have already changed into abnormal cells. It can give them a push towards growing. And what very unfortunate is that nearly 1 in 4 men and women, 24% of those who served our country in the military, have diabetes. Now, the national average for all Americans is 9%. So veterans have a higher incidence of diabetes, and that is very unfortunate, and we should be addressing that with these diet and exercise lifestyle changes. So for substantial health benefits, adults should do at least 150 minutes or 2 hours and 30 minutes of exercise per week, moderate intensity. 75 minutes or an hour and 15 minutes to 150 minutes of very vigorous aerobic activity, or a combination of both. Some days you might walk a little faster, some days you might walk a little slower, but a little longer. And so the idea is not to say on day one, I am going to go out and I'm just going to walk 2 miles. Sometimes day one is 5 minutes to the end of your driveway and back. And then you add 1 minute per week. In 20 weeks, you will be at 25 minutes. And it really does accumulate. The time goes fast. And so if you can you start where you're safe and talk to your provider to find out what are my limitations for exercise. I have a patient who, because of a surgery, she is allowed to walk very slowly for 10 or 15 minutes. Fine, do 10 or 15 minutes, do whatever you can do. But the goal, especially for some of our younger vets who might be getting a little overweight, because a lot of this year and last year, physical activity, the gyms closed down. There wasn't a lot of opportunities for physical activity. And so we want to promote exercise for at least 150 minutes per week. Do what is moderate to you. It is not what is moderate to everyone. What is moderate to a 70-year-old would be probably a little bit light to a 35-year-old. But we do not want anybody to overdo on the exercise, because then you can injure yourself. As far as nutrition goes, trying to transition to more of a plant-based diet. So people will ask me, oh, so everybody should be a vegetarian. And I always say, potato chips are vegetarian. So what we want to look for is healthy choices as it pertains to going more plant-based. So if someone loves their red meat, I know people who just absolutely love a burger, they love a steak. Try to use the portion, make the portion of the meats, especially red meats, lamb, beef, especially you want to make those portions maybe only 1 to 2 ounces, so that almost like they are just something nice on the plate where you fill the rest of your plate. A half of your plate should be all vegetables. Then you have a half a cup of whole grains, not processed noodles, processed pasta, processed. We want processed rice. You make the switch to brown rice, make the switch to whole grain pasta, make the switch to having legumes, beans. You can use corn as your starch, and then a half a plate of vegetables, green leafy vegetables, a salad. Limit your fruits to only 2 a day, and have them at the end of the meal. The vegetables at the beginning of the meal, then comes your meat and starch, and your fruit is the last thing you eat. That way, you will not see a big spike in your blood sugar, and you will not have as much insulin released to bring down those blood sugars. So the studies show that people who eat vegetables first, then their whole grains and protein, and then their fruits last, will have less spikes in blood sugar, less insulin response, okay? So what we want to do is it shows a decrease in gastric emptying, which can then, again, decrease your glucose spikes. Eat good fats, olive oil, avocados, nuts, and seeds. Make sure that you really try to avoid those very processed polyunsaturated fats. Vegetable oil is not good for you. Corn oil, not good. What we want you to do, olive oil. People say, you can't bake with olive oil. I bake with extra virgin light olive oil all the time, and nobody says, oh, Mom, your cake doesn't taste good because you used olive oil. Nobody can tell. The avocado oil and peanuts, all those are good monounsaturated fats. What we want to do is we want to, as long as you stay within your calorie levels, we want you to eat 5 to 7 servings of vegetables and fruits. So that might be 5 vegetables and 2 fruits per day. And then the use of monounsaturated fats can decrease the inflammation, limits the growth factors associated with insulin resistance, and this helps our cells just function normally. Starting your meal with 1 to 2 servings of vegetables also will make you feel fuller, and maybe you'll be able to push yourself away from the table a little sooner. Protein requirements, I talk to a lot of, especially men, younger guys who think that they need hundreds of grams of protein per day. So what we need is kilograms, our weight in kilograms. So you take your weight, you divide it by 2.2, and you multiply it by 0.8. So I had a girl yesterday who was so surprised that her protein requirements per day was 45 grams. So she's like, she uses protein powder, all of these 30-gram protein drinks. And I said, but you only really need 45 grams. And after that, the parts of the protein get cleaved off. The rest is just used for storage or for energy. But all that nitrogen that comes from that excessive amount of protein has to get processed through your kidneys. And that just puts more strain on your body. So you don't need it. So kilograms is your weight divided by 2.2 times 0.8. And that's going to be it. And vegetable sources of protein are very good. Nuts, seeds, whole grains can just provide you with adequate amounts of protein to make it through what you need to maintain your muscle mass, to keep your heart beating and your lungs working. So we don't need to really do excessive amounts of protein in a day. So where did we go wrong? Over the years, carbohydrates have become very, very processed. We came from a generation, I know from my generation, we came from a generation where we used to fill people up with the carbohydrates. So we gave, I know they filled in my family, everybody got filled up. We're Irish, we got filled up with potatoes. Some people got filled up with pasta. Some people got filled up with rice. So it was the very processed carbohydrates that were just used to fill people up, just because maybe there wasn't enough money to have a whole lot of meats and vegetables and fruits. So we were just trying to fill up the kids at the time. I was one of those kids. And then the other thing is there's been a lot of sugar, and then of course the high fructose corn syrup that has been added to a lot of food. So what happened is fructose is metabolized in the liver, and historically we used to only get fructose from fruits. And then what happened was as time went on, in the 70s through the 90s, they started using the high fructose corn syrups to stabilize baked goods. It used to be the trans fats, but then when trans fats were taken out of baking, then they had to create that really bouncy, very, very moist sort of texture in cakes and such. And then they started using high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup is, you see it in ketchup, you see it in soups. We were seeing it in whole wheat bread at one point. And so then we see it in soda, and we see it in processed juices. We see it in candy. So what happened is then all of a sudden we see this diagnosis, a new diagnosis of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So earlier on in my career, all we ever saw was alcoholic fatty liver disease. And now we see non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and that's from all the processed carbohydrates and high fructose corn syrup, and obesity and diabetes. So what we want to do is we want to just control our numbers, bring the blood sugars down, bring the lipids down, cholesterol, triglycerides. We want to decrease the inflammation. fruits, vegetables, whole grains, monounsaturated fats, fish oils, all help to decrease the inflammation in our bodies. And then when we don't have the inflammation, we're not going to see the changes in the cells as much to cause them from being normal cells to then cells that collect and form tumors, and you get a diagnosis of cancer. So we don't want that. So in diabetes and obesity, we see a threefold increase in breast cancer recurrence. We see an increase in breast cancer, kidney, colorectal, liver, endometrial, head and neck cancers, esophageal, ovarian, gallbladder, pancreatic, prostate, and stomach cancers, all related to obesity and diabetes. So we really want to control the obesity and diabetes in order to promote a healthy lifestyle, doing our walking, doing our, I do an awful lot of walk aerobics, get on an exercise bike if you can, and that's what we want to do. So get rid of the cigarettes, get rid of the vaping, limit the alcohol, eat your vegetables, decrease the amount of meat that you're eating. It'll actually save on your food bill. Decrease the processed starches, rice, noodles. Go with the whole grain, go with the brown rice, go with the whole wheat pasta, go with the whole grain breads, and try to change over to a monounsaturated olive oil. Just to note, you're better off buying your olive oil from California, because when the consumer advocacy groups tested olive oils from different countries, they found out that it wasn't all really great olive oil, that they were paying much more money for. So our own country does regulate the agriculture in our country is controlled, and so when you buy extra virgin olive oil from California, you're going to get extra virgin olive oil. So just a plug for buying American olive oil. And so that's really it. I just want everybody to be healthy, be strong, be healthy, and just try to change one little change a day, one little change a week, 4 changes a month, 52 changes a year, just to be a healthier person. And all of us who work in oncology will find something else to do once all of this has been cured. So have a great day. Thanks for having me. Again, my name is Regina LaTourette. I'm an oncology dietitian, and have a great day.